Okay. Good. We aren't going to have that long of a meeting today or tomorrow. In fact, if I really wanted to push it, I could probably finish everything I need to today, but I don't want to push it. I'd rather just, quote unquote, take it easy today and take it easy tomorrow, so to speak. So let's see how that turns out. Okay, so there should be plenty of time for questions and answers. If you have any questions, be ready for them. Here we are. Okay, now I'm going to do a mean trick on you, but it's not as mean as you might think. I'm adding in one word problem because I like it. It's question 18. It's an even problem. But guess what? I'm going to end up doing it anyway, right? Okay, so throw in problem 18 for 4.9. Okay, so we're doing law of sines, law of cosines, and also areas of triangles. You might say, oh yeah, I know how to find an area of a triangle, 1/2 base times height, but these aren't that easy. Okay? These are ones where you're given the 3 sides, or you can derive the 3 sides, and there's a special formula for that. Okay, so 4.9, I guess I can check it off because I'm already starting with it. Okay, so I'll probably finish early today. You can ask questions, and if not, we'll stop. Same thing tomorrow. I'll finish early. You can ask questions, or else we'll stop. And so looking again at the calendar, I'm reserving all of Thursday for question and answers, right? So we're over here. You can have all of Thursday for question and answers. If you don't ask questions, I might just sneak in some of the next chapter. And the next test is Friday. Okay? It is our longest time frame since the last exam. I mean, it's been almost a month now, I guess, between exams. Okay? And it covers the most amount of material. And if you haven't already done so, put together your cheat sheet, put all the formulas that you want on your sheet of paper, and get your homework going. And remember, I have that 70% rule of submitting homework. So if you don't turn in the homework, or if you don't even submit 70% of the homework, I don't grade your exam. But again, in my opinion, it's not that hard to get to 70% because I end up doing a huge percentage of the problems anyway, right? Okay, so again, throw in 18, but I'm going to end up doing it. All right, so here we go. Continuing on where we were. So I was going to do problem 11 for you. So here's our first instance where they give me 3 sides. A is 8, B is 9, C is 13. Okay, so 3 sides. So you're stuck. You have to do the law of cosines. If you try to do a law of sines, you won't get anywhere. Okay? So let me show you again what happens. If you try to do the law of sines, put the law of sines on your cheat sheet. If you want to know where it is, it's on page 264, or it's on the recording. Yeah. So if they give me 3 sides, okay, the 3 sides were what, 8, 9, and 13, or whatever it was. Okay, you put the 3 numbers down here. Whoops. Yeah, same thing. Put the 3 numbers here. Then you can't get anywhere by cross multiplying, right? You can't solve for alpha, beta, or gamma. So you're stuck using the law of cosines. Okay. Now, you actually have a choice here among 3. If they give me all 3 of them, which one should I pick? Okay, so my suggestion is this. Okay, A is 8, B is 9, C is 13. Okay, so I have A, B, and C. Okay, you're not supposed to know the answers in red yet because we have to drive that. Okay, my advice generally is to start with the largest angle. Okay, and we had a rule that said the smallest angle is opposite the smallest side. The largest angle is opposite the largest side. Okay, so I would, if you're given a situation with 3 sides, right, 8, 9, and 13, you start with the biggest side, 13, and that will help you find the biggest angle. Okay, that avoids an ambiguity that we might have to deal with later, and we only have one problem like that. I think it's problem 15, where you actually have 2 triangles that work. Okay, but anyway, we're going to go straight for the largest angle. Okay, so I've got 8, 9, and 13. So that means I'm going to use the formula that has c squared. Okay, so remember there are 3 equivalent forms of the law of cosines. Okay. You can put them all down if you want on your cheat sheet, but I think if you kind of get the idea of how the law of cosines works, you don't really need to. All right, so c squared is equal to, then it's the other two squared, a squared plus b squared, and then minus 2ab, cosine of which angle? The angle that matches this one, so it's cosine gamma. So now it's just a straight plug-in. C is 13, 13 squared, a is 8, 8 squared, b is 9, 9 squared, minus 2 times 8 times 9, cosine of gamma. Okay, just grind it out. 13 squared is 169, 8 squared is 64, 9 squared is 81, minus 2 times 8 times 9 is 144. Okay, then let's see. I subtracted 64, and I also subtracted 81 on both sides. All right, so minus 64, minus 81, 24 equals negative 144 cosine gamma. Divide by negative 144. Cosine of gamma is negative 1/6. That's okay. Cosine of an angle can come out to be negative. That means you're in the second quadrant. You can have a second quadrant angle. So it's bigger than 90 degrees. And that actually makes sense in the idea that we already knew that this is the largest side, right? So the largest side should have the largest angle. Okay, so cosine gamma is negative 1/6. Then I hit my inverse cosine, right? So gamma is inverse cosine of negative 1/6. Okay, and again, make sure that when you're punching it out that you're in degree mode right now. Okay, so you're in degree mode when you punch it all out. 99.59 degrees. So that's 99.59 degrees. Okay, now you can do the exact same thing to find any of the others. Okay, so let's say you wanted to find beta. Do b squared. B squared equals blah, 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 blah. So how would that be? B squared equals, the other two letters are a squared plus c squared minus 2ac cosine beta. Okay, you could do that. But to me, law of sines is much easier. So once you have one of the angles, okay, so I got 99.59 for gamma. Switch over to law of sines, much better. Okay, so sine of alpha over 8, sine of beta over 9, sine of gamma, which I now know, over 13. Okay, so maybe I cover this up, and I cross multiply. If I cross multiply, I'll be able to find beta, right? I go that times that times that. Okay, so 13 sine beta equals 9 sine of 99.59. Divide by 13. Sine of beta is 9 sine of 99.59 divided by 13. Make sure you're in degree mode. Okay, punch it in your calculator. I've already done it before, so to save class time, you won't watch me punch in the calculator. I did it before, but you can go home and make sure that you verify these are correct. 0.6826. Okay, that's sine of beta. How do I get beta? Inverse sine. So I do inverse sine of 0.6826, and that comes out to be 43.05. Okay, now that's beta. Here's a tricky thing, though. There's actually a second quadrant angle that makes that true also. You won't get it by doing sine inverse. You would also have to go 180 minus 43.05 ordinarily. That gives me an angle that's bigger than 90 degrees, but because I already found the largest angle, 99.59, right? I know that can't happen. Okay, so this gets a little bit tricky. So let me take a quick time out and show you what I'm talking about. Get some scratch paper here. So we had, where'd it go? Beta is inverse sine of 0.6826. Okay, and that came out to be 43.05. Okay. So this is the picture. have a y coordinate of 0.6826. There's another angle over here in the second quadrant that also works. What would it be? Well, you can tell by symmetry, this is 43.05. So the angle in standard position would be 180 minus 43.05, which comes out to be 100 and something, 136.95 degrees. But because I aim directly for the largest angle, I already know that I have an angle 99.59. That can't happen. And besides, if I do 99 plus 136, that already surpasses my quota of 180 degrees. Okay, so that's not possible. Okay, now later on, I think it's problem 15, we will actually have two possible triangles that work. Okay, so we have to take that into consideration. But here, I don't have to worry about it. Okay, so just 43.05. So I got 43.05. And always, once you have two angles, okay, the minute I have two angles, don't do any other trig. Just go 180 minus the sum. All right? So now I got 99.59. I got what? 43.05. Just subtract from 180. So alpha is 180 minus 43.05 minus 99.59. Comes out to be 37.36 degrees. Okay, so the triangle is solved. So alpha is now 37.36 degrees. Okay, so again, when you're doing it for me on quizzes, homeworks, tests, give your final answer as a chart of everything that you don't have. And so solving a triangle means give 6 pieces of information, 3 sides, and 3 angles. They will generally start with 3 pieces of information. In this case, they started you off with 3 sides. So that means your solution should be 3 angles. Okay? Or let's say the other ones, right? Previously, what did they give us? Like 1 angle and 2 sides. So to solve the triangle, find the other side and the other 2 angles, right? And there it is. There's the other side and there's the other 2 angles. Okay, in this case, we had 1, 2, 3 sides, so we need 1, 2, 3 angles. So here we are. So this is my complete solution. We found the 3 angles, 37.36 degrees, 43.05 degrees, and 99.59 degrees. And there we go. A quick double check. Which is the largest angle? Looks like it's gamma, right? 99.59. So that means C should be the largest side, and it is. And which is the smallest side? 8. So the smallest angle should be A's or alpha. So alpha should be the smallest angle, and it is. Okay. That's not 100% guaranteed that you did it right, but it's a little double check that it's consistent, right, with everything we said before. Okay. Okay, 13 is a little bit different. It's actually faster. Show that there is no triangle satisfying the conditions A is 3, B is 10, alpha is 25.4. Okay, what does that mean? How do I do that? There's no triangle that satisfies this. How do I do that? A is 3, B is 10, alpha is 25.4. So in other words, there's no such triangle as this. It's impossible to make such a triangle. So how can we do that? Okay. First, let me ask you, do you think it's plausible to do the law of sines? I already got it here, covered it up. Okay. So I would prefer to do law of sines whenever possible. Is this a good candidate for law of sines? Answer is yes, because I have A and alpha. Okay, so to do the law of sines, you must have either A with A, B with B, C with C. Okay, I have A with A with alpha. See that? So that means I can line it up. Sine of 25.4 over A. See, once I have this, I can solve. Equals sine of beta over B, which is 10, sine of gamma over C. Okay, so this one has nothing. I don't have C or gamma, but that's okay. Right? Once I can figure out beta, I can go from there. So sine of 25.4 over 3 equals sine of beta over 10. Okay? Cross multiply. So let me see what's wrong with this. I don't see anything wrong right now. We will see. So cross multiply 3 sine of beta equals 10 sine of 25.4. Divide by 3. Sine of beta equals 1.429. Aha, that's the reason why. The sine of any angle has to be between what two numbers, do you recall? Between -1 and 1. This is impossible. No such beta exists. Okay. In fact, I'm just curious what would happen if I tried to do inverse sine of 1.42 whatever. You should get some kind of error message. Inverse sine of 1.429. Okay, my calculator actually gives me something. It's a complex number. If I hit inverse sine of 1.429, you can't see it, but it gives it to me as a plus bi. It's complex with a real and imaginary part. But for real numbers, this is impossible. Okay, or some of your calculators might say E for error or no solution or whatever. Okay, so that's the reason why no such triangle exists. You cannot make a triangle where this is 10, this is 3, and this is 25.4. It's impossible. Okay. All right, so right now I'm going to go over and do the area problems. Okay, so the so-called Huron's formula. Huron's formula. Now the version that the book gives you is correct. There's nothing wrong with it, but I like this version better. Okay, so that would be for problems like 17 and 18. Find the area of a triangle where they give you three sides, 12, 14, 16. 325, 175, 200, or whatever. Okay? So notice you cannot do 1/2 base times height. You're given three sides. Okay, so how do I find the area if I have three sides? So here's the formula. Area is square root of S times S minus A, S minus B, S minus C. S is called the semi-perimeter. Semi-perimeter means half the perimeter. So you add up A, B, and C and divide by 2. Okay. Then you go radical semi-perimeter, and then semi-perimeter minus each of the sides. Minus A, minus B, minus C. Okay. So let me get those out of the way. Now. Okay. A little bit longer, if you need that a little bit longer. It's on the video. You can always look at the video. And I showed it to you earlier. Right? So, give you a little bit more stalling time here. 17. Find the area of the triangle with sides 12, 14, 16 centimeters. So we already know the answer is going to be centimeters squared, right? Area is square units. 18, the answer is going to be square feet. Is that right? All right, so 12, 14, 16. So you have a triangle with sides 12, 14, and 16. You don't have base times height or anything like that. Okay? So imagine a picture like this, right? 12, 14, 16. So why don't I just do 1/2 base times height? Well, you don't have the height. But if you have the three sides, you can use Huron's formula. So first I need to find the semi-perimeter, half the perimeter. So I add them all up, 12 plus 14 plus 16, and divided by 2. So let's see, 12 plus 14 plus 16 on my calculator is 42. 42 divided by 2 is 21. Okay, so S, semi-perimeter, is 21. Now the area, square root of S, S minus A, S minus B, S minus C. So you go square root of 21, and then you go 21 minus each side. 21 minus 12, 21 minus 14, 21 minus 16. Okay, 21 times, this is 9, 7, 5. So punch it on your machine. 21 times 9 times 7 times 5 comes out to be 6615. Hit your square root button. 81.33 centimeters squared. Okay, so that's the area of this triangle. That means if you were to do 1/2 base times height, same thing. All right, and then 18, the new problem that I'm introducing, but I'm going to do it for you anyway. So what is it? A triangular lot has sides 325, 175, and 200 feet. Find the area of the lot. So same thing. And you might say, why don't I just do 1/2 base times height? Well, you don't have the height, right? They don't give me this. But Huron's formula allows me to just plug in using the three sides. So I plug into this thing. Okay, so semi-perimeter. So add them up and divide by 2. 325 plus 175 plus 200. Okay, these three add up to 700. Then 700 divided by 2 is 350. And by the way, for those of you that are trying to punch it all in at once, you should put it in parentheses. Here, I'll show you if I can demonstrate. It should be parentheses 325 plus 175 plus 200 parentheses divided by 2. So, sorry, I'm not sure if you can see it. Which I can't get to the point where you can see it. Maybe sort of like that. But anyway, there's parentheses here and parentheses here. Okay. And it comes back with 350. Oops, sorry. Oh, maybe you can see that. Okay. Anyway, I've seen people not put the parentheses, and that's going to be wrong. Let's see if I can show you that. I got time, I think. Okay. Sometimes I see students do this. Can you see what's wrong with that? 325 plus 175 plus 200 divided by 2. Wrong answer. Okay. By order of operations, right, the computer or calculator will say plus division, right? By your order of operations, division has precedence. So it's going to do 200 divided by 2, which is 100, and then add all the rest up, which is not the idea. Right? So that's the reason why you need parentheses around the whole thing. Okay, so just word of warning, watch out for that you need parentheses around the whole thing. Another thing that would work is if you actually stopped and do this calculation first. I'll show you what I mean. Okay, so if I just add these three numbers up first, 700, and then quickly divide it by 2. That will work also. Okay, so again, either parentheses around the whole thing, I guess it's scroll down so you can't see anymore, or add them up, get the answer, and then divide by 2. But don't do this, because the division by 2 is supposed to apply to the whole sum, not only to the 200. Okay. Anyway, so 350, and then 350 minus each of the sides. 350 minus 325, 350 minus 175, 350 minus 200. Okay, it's not that bad once you get the hang of it. Okay, 350 times, that comes out to be 25, that comes out to be 175, that comes out to be 150. Okay, multiply them all together. I messed up, as you can see. 229,687,500 is that times that times that times that. Hit your square root button. 15,155.44 square feet. Okay, so that's how Huron's formula works. All right, so that's that. Now, a very long problem would be 15. I was going to hold off on that until tomorrow. Let's see what time it is. I guess if I really wanted to, I could stretch it. But this says there are 2 solutions. Okay, now how can that be? Solve for the missing parts of the triangle. A is 125, B is 150, alpha is 55. There are 2 possible triangles. Okay, now how can that possibly be? Okay, so I'll give you a little bit of a setup, but I won't do it. I'll save it for tomorrow. But does that look like law of sines, law of cosines? Okay, let's see. You got A, B, and alpha. Whoops. That wasn't supposed to happen. No. Okay, I think we're back. I have A and alpha. That tells me law of sines, right? So when I set up my triangle, of which is actually going to be 2 triangles, I'm going to use the law of sines because I have A and alpha, B and beta. Okay. Now, how can I possibly get two triangles? It's what I was talking about. When you solve at a certain place for the sine of beta, there are two possible angles that work. Here it is, 0.9830. There are two possible angles that would make that a true statement. So this is an ambiguous case, so to speak. You have two possible triangles. Okay, and I'll show you that in more detail tomorrow. I won't have time for the rest of today. Okay, but for the rest of today, I'll start showing you the word problems at the end. Okay, so I want to get you set up with a word problem. So 21, 23, and 25 are word problems. Okay, so I'll show you one, and maybe that's all the time I'll have. So then tomorrow, I'll show you that super long problem 15, and maybe the other word problems, and then that's pretty much about it. Okay, so let's look at 21. So you have to draw a picture. Points A and B are on opposite sides of a river. To find the distance between the points, a third point C is located on the same side of the river as point A. The distance between A and C is 45 feet. Angle ACB is determined to be 42 degrees, and angle BAC is 105 degrees. Find the distance between A and B. Okay, so let me show you what's going on. You need to draw a picture. And by the way, if you get something like this on the test, you should draw me a picture. Okay, I'm definitely not going to accept it if you just give me an answer. How did you get that answer? Did you copy off of somebody else, right? You're a genius. You did all that in your head. I'm not going to accept that, obviously. Okay, so let's start building the picture, so to speak. So A and B are opposite sides of a river. Okay, so I just made a little mark here. Here's A and B. Here's supposed to be the river. Okay, and then point C is on the same side as A. Okay, so here's C. So I got A, B, and C. And then it says the distance between A and C is 45 feet. So I draw this to be 45 feet. Okay, and then give me some angles. Angle ACB is 42 degrees. Okay, so ACB, 42 degrees, right here. Angle BAC is 105 degrees. 105 degrees, right here. Find the distance between A and B. So in this picture, I'm calling it X. Okay. And so I think we have everything that we want here. So obviously from here, they give me this information, I can clearly find the third angle. Right? So information that they've given me is 105 and 42 to subtract 33 degrees. All right, so I have three angles. I got one side, so that means I have 45, and now I have 33 now that I figured out what it was. Okay, I measured this, I determined this, because these three have to add up to 180, right? So 105 was given, 42 is given, add them up, that's 147. 180 minus 147 is 33. Okay, so I just go opposite. Sine of 33 over 45. Okay, I need to find x. So what's opposite x is 42. Okay, so notice I didn't even bother labeling alpha, beta, gamma, and all that. You don't have to. For the law of sines, you always go opposite. Right, so sine of 33 degrees over 45 equals sine of 42 degrees over x. Okay, and now I can do my cross multiplication stuff. So x sine of 33 equals 45 sine of 42. And divide both sides by sine of 33 to solve for x. So x is 45 sine of 42 degrees divided by sine of 33 degrees. Punch it in your calculator. Make sure for this one you are in degree mode, 55.29 feet. So that's the length of the river, the distance across the river, 55.29 feet. Okay? And there we go. Okay, I'm actually done. I'm going to blab for another 2 minutes. So if anybody has any questions, I'm finished for today. I was going to do tomorrow the more difficult 15. That'll take quite a while by itself, and the other word problems tomorrow. So I'll be finished in about 2 minutes if anybody wants to ask stuff, but if not, then we'll be done. But I'll just blab a little longer of the practical usefulness of trig Okay, so you want to measure the distance across the river. That's not easy, right? Most of us can't just walk across a river or walk on the water or something and get a measuring stick. It might be too difficult, but by means of trig, you can derive it. Okay, so we stay on our side of the river. Okay, so we can walk this off. Okay, so this is our side. Maybe this is the other side or the enemy side or whatever, right? So I can't get over there. I can't measure that angle. But on our side, I can measure this angle. I can measure this angle, and I can walk. I can measure this 45 feet. Okay, but we don't want to walk on the water or anything. We can use trig to figure it out. Okay, I can't get over to the other side to measure this angle. I don't need to. I can use trig. Okay, and I can't directly measure this, but by means of trig, we can. Okay, so one of the usefulnesses of trig, a nice thing about trig is it lets you find distances which are either difficult or impossible or too dangerous to figure out, like distance across a river, right? Or the height of a tree. I don't feel like climbing a tree, right? Or the height of a tower. I don't feel like finding the height of a tower, but I can walk on the ground. Okay, I don't mind walking on the ground. I can measure out the length of the ground, right? Or this is our side. This is the enemy side, right? I can't get over on the enemy side. How far is it across the river? You can use trig to figure stuff like that out. So that's one of the usefulnesses of having trig. Okay. All right, so I'll stop there. I'm done, folks. So I think some people put something in the chat. Let me check what that is right now. Okay, so let me see. Okay, 4.7. Yeah, 4.915. Yeah, I was going to do that tomorrow. You can try it, but you can get started. But there are two possible triangles. Just a hint for that. Okay, 4.7, 11, and 15 were asked for. Okay, let me see what that's about. 4.711 and 15a. Okay, so let me try that. 4.711 and 15a, and that's it for now. Okay, because once I switch back to sharing the screen, I can't see the chat anymore. It's one or the other. Okay, so back to share screen. And get over there. Okay, 4.711, sine of 13 pi over 12. Sine of 13 pi over 12. Oh boy. Okay, let's see. Use a double or half angle formula. So can I get this to be something that I recognize? Well, 13 pi over 6, I think I recognize, right? Right. I know this because 13 pi over 6 is the same as 2 pi plus pi over 6. So a little bit of scratch paper. 13 pi over 6 is 12 pi over 6 plus pi over 6, which is 2 pi plus pi over 6. So in other words, it's going all the way around the circle and then a little bit more. 30 degrees. What's the y coordinate? Looks like a half. Sine of 13 pi over 6 is a half. So 13 pi over 12 is half of them. Okay, so that helps me. Now, where is 13 pi over 12? Well, 12 pi over 12 is pi. So 13 pi over 12 is a little bit more. I'm in quadrant 3, so I know the answer is going to be negative. It'll be negative. All right, so I'm going to use my formula. Sine squared of theta is 1 minus cosine 2 theta over 2. Okay, so this should be the smaller angle. This should be the double of the angle. Okay, so the smaller angle is 13 pi over 12, right? So sine squared of 13 pi over 12, and the bigger angle goes right here, double that. 1 minus cosine 13 pi over 6 all over 2. Well, I got the sine of 13 pi over 6. I want the cosine. So the cosine is radical 3 over 2. This is radical 3 over 2, comma 1/2. So it's 1 minus radical 3 over 2 divided by 2. So take the square root of both sides, and I want the negative now that I've established I'm in quadrant 3. So square root, negative. Sine of 13 pi over 12 is negative this mess, 1 minus radical 3 over 2 divided by 2. We usually don't like to leave it like that. I would multiply top and bottom by 2. So the bottom becomes the square root of 4, which is regular 2. This would be 2 times 1 is 2. And radical 3 over 2 times 2 is just radical 3. Okay, so that's the best that I'm going to write it. So sine of 13 pi over 12 is negative radical 2 minus radical 3 all over 2. Yeah, it's kind of weird to have a square root inside a square root. That's the way you do that one. Okay, and then 15c was asked for. 15c. Tangent of t is 5/12. Sine of t less than 0. Find cosine of 2t. Okay. So 15c. Tangent of t is 5/12. Sine of 2t. Oops, sorry, sine of t is less than 0. Okay, so I am in quadrant 3. Tangent is positive, sine is negative. All right, and we're asked to find cosine of 2t, which is cosine squared t minus sine squared t. All right, so I have to use identity 1 plus tangent squared t equals secant squared t. 1 plus 5/12 squared equals secant squared t. 5/12 squared is 25 over 144 equals secant squared t. This is 144 over 144. That's 169 over 144 equals secant squared t. Square root. I'm in quadrant 3, so I want the negative. 13 over 12 equals, oops, negative 13 over 12 is secant of t. Flip both of them. So reciprocal of secant is the cosine. Cosine of t is negative 12 over 13. And sine of t will be negative 5/13. Okay. If you do the sine squared plus cosine squared equals 1, the numbers just kind of retrace themselves. Okay. This would be 144. 144 over 169 equals 1. Subtract 1 minus 144 over 169 is 25 over 169. Square root. Want the negative. Sine of t is negative 5 over 13. All right, so now I want cosine of 2t. Our formula is cosine squared t minus sine squared t. So cosine squared, cosine was negative 12 over 13. So negative 12 over 13 squared minus sine squared, negative 5 over 13 squared. Too many negatives, but at least that's positive and that's positive. So 144 over 169 minus 25 over 169. So what does that come up to be? 119? 119 over 169. That's it for that one. And this is still being recorded, so if I'm going too fast, which I often do, check back the video. Nice thing about the video, of course, is you can rewind, fast forward, pause. Okay, stop the share. Okay, I think I've caught up with the chat. So anybody else want to ask a question, put it in the chat or unmute yourself. Otherwise, we're done for the day. All right, that'll do it for today, folks. So tomorrow you can come up with questions also. We'll probably be done fairly quickly, but again, I have to do that longer problem 15 and the other word problem, and we'll be done. All right, that's it for today, folks. Have a good day. See you tomorrow. Bye.